You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
What's up?
Even his professor calls him Zion Spartan. Oh shit!
What?
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Outstanding.
Oh man. Well.
Sorry, I was cooking my lunch for tomorrow. That's what it took me a few extra minutes to get home.
That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Good news. I've watched the because I forgot it was on yesterday. So I watched the Europa League matches on CBS All Access today.
Woo!
Actually, these might have been the first ones. Good news. They literally just used the world feed and did nothing stupid with it.
Yay! That's good.
That was a great start. Which is actually kind of interesting because they started broadcasting like an hour before the match.
Nice.
And they just had like the different camera feeds of like players warming up and shit with like no announcers behind them or anything.
Fantastic.
So I was like, this is already better than Bleacher Report.
It's all right. Much better than listening to
Steve Nash.
Listen to Steve Nash. Yeah.
Oh man.
So, CBS Sportsnet on regular TV.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Let's see if I get it. Son of a bitch. No. Oh, well. I was going to say, it says they got Champions League coming up at 11 o'clock. So.
11 o'clock tonight?
Yeah, I'm sure it's a replay or something.
Yeah.
But apparently I don't get that channel, so.
Well, it already is also on the app on my Apple TV. They already are like advertising Friday's matches for the Champions League. So
yeah, that's what's up.
I was like, this is something. This is literally something. So I'm curious to see, since I assume they'll actually do some sort of like actual pregame show before the Champions League matches. I'm curious to see what those will end up looking like.
You would guess.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't guarantee, but you would guess.
Did we talk about what their team is? Because I may not have actually saved that article for this week.
No.
Last week.
No, we haven't.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. Because I saw it. It's Kate Abdo is leading it, which is fine. Is fine. But the rest of it was like pretty good actually. I think except for like Sol Campbell is on there, which made me mad.
I'm all about Kate Abdo, so that's cool.
Let's see. Champions League announcers reveal. Is this it? Yeah. So their studio lineup is. By the way, everyone, welcome to the Foreign Affair Podcast, episode 326. So their studio lineup is going to be, if I can actually click this picture on Twitter, please Twitter, please up. Okay, so it's Abdo hosting with Spanish Bob, Jamie Carragher, and
Jamie Lad is going to be up there talking about matches, easy all time,
and I don't remember how to pronounce this. Rude Gillett. Hewlett. Alex Scott looks like, I believe she's one of the sideline reporters, as well as Peter Schmeichel and Micah Richards will also be doing. And the play-by-play announcers will be Clive Tildesley and Peter Gerber. and Peter Drury, which I like Peter Drury a lot. So
I like Clive Chisley just fine.
I'm sure I can't remember who Clive is.
Yes.
But yeah, I think this is fine. Like this is after Bleacher Report, this is like great. You did the right thing. You took the NBC approach to this.
Just give us a legit broadcast and don't try to Americanize it.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't sound like they're going to with this lineup to TBH. So,
well, now that could also just be to finish up this one, and we'll see what happens. With the next one. But hopefully, maybe this is just a. All right, guys, here's your tryout.
Yeah, I think this is like, I know we joke about Spanish Bob, but like he's fine on TV. Like I enjoyed him when he's on ESPN and stuff, so I don't really have a problem with that. I know Carragher does a lot of was it Sky he usually works with, so he's been inoffensive every time I've seen him. I'm sure most people won't feel that way.
Well, you're not a United fan, so that really helps.
That's true.
You're not a fan of Gary. Apparently, him and Gary Neville are just like they go after each other with abandon. I mean, they're like friends, I think, but they murder each other on there.
Oh man! So
in the last few years, you kind of know who's got the upper hand. So.
Nice. So yeah. Oh, Alex Scott and Peter Schmeichel will be on site in Portugal from the quarterfinals on. So that's what it is. Alex Scott is apparently a former Arsenal and England defender.
So he's not good then.
It's her. It's her.
Oh. Well, she's still got the pedigree of Arsenal and England, so that can't be good. Can't be good for anyone.
Fair enough. Yeah, so I guess she'll probably be like the host, I guess, of between her and Peter Schmeichel. So that'll be good. Rude is the Europa League dude. He'll be doing that. So so I guess Abdo is just for Champions League and Rude will be for Europa. Okay. So there you go.
Cool.
And breathe. So yeah, welcome to episode 326 of the Foreign Affair Podcast. I am Edward Green, joined by McCall Crime, Wes Bradshaw, where this week we're going to talk about an FA Cup final fit for 90,000, according to one article here on the BBC. Okay, sure, you say so. I don't know that an FA Cup would ever be fit for 90,000, but you can have your thing. We'll talk very little bit about that. We'll just quickly go through the upcoming Champions League matchups and slightly touch on the Europa League matchups that have already happened and will happen. We'll hit the news and notes. There are some big stories this week, folks. We got a hashtag Thursdays last week, so
always
can't wait to dig into that. And we'll end it out with a little watch for here on the end of the program. So, as always, we're presented by NGSC Sports.
Oh, I have a good watch for this week.
Ooh, fantastic. At NGSCsports.com, we never stop. So, real quick, in the for the 14th time, Arsenal will hoist and not drop, or sort of drop, the FA Cup trophy at Wembley. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, who I really believe maybe should be player of the year. Maybe, like, again, if we're going not by best player, but most valuable player, like, Arsenal are easily, like, 13th, 14th without him. So, maybe it should be him. Not saying he's the best. There were better players in the league this year. Kevin De Bruyne and, like, half of Liverpool. But if we're talking about most important, feels like Aubameyang was up there.
By the way, I almost feel like I need to go back and revisit an earlier argument I think I had on The Athletic back in like September, where I made the comment that without Aubameyang, they'd be in relegation zone. And I was clapped at by like 3 Arsenal fans that he wasn't even their best player. Bernd Leno was by far their best player.
Yeah, okay. I remember talking about it on this podcast. Yes.
And I was like, you're all fucking insane, but okay.
Oh, God.
Yeah, how'd that work out for him?
Yeah, well, When he leaves, we'll see how good Bernd Leno really is. But anyway, Arsenal do beat Chelsea on the day 2-1. Very, very emotional day for them as they book their Europa League spot for next year. Hooray! Of course, not without controversy as well. There was the sending off of Mateo Kovacic for Chelsea with a red card. It was a double yellow in what may be one of the softest yellows I've ever seen in my life. As someone who kind of hates both clubs, I feel like I can be objective about this, and that was one of the softest yellows I've ever seen. Plus, I found out a little known, well, maybe to me it was a little known, maybe not to the rest of y'all, a little known VAR fact for this match. Wes, do you want to hear it?
Go for it, man.
Did you know that double yellow cards that lead into a red card are not reviewable by VAR, even though straight reds are?
You know it. I didn't know it, but I found it out from the other day.
I was a tad bit shocked to find that out. I feel like anytime you're sending a player off the pitch, it should be able to be reviewed. You wanna make sure you get those ones right, folks. So
especially on a cup final, but no big deal.
Yeah, it's just for the trophy. Mikel Arteta becomes the first Arsenal manager to win a major trophy in their first season in charge of the club since George Graham in 1986 to 1987. It's it is what it is. Arsenal do, I guess, somewhat end their season on an up note, in which we're about to get started here in like a month again. I think the other big loser though from this match, Wes, absolutely is Chelsea as a whole, but Christian Pulisic, who had a great opening goal in the 5th minute, and then got injured in the second half when he was taking shot from distance. Looked like he pulled his hammy a little bit, and will not be ready, it looks like, for their Champions League matchups coming up in just a short time here, and may even not be ready for the start of next season. I mean, this is a kid who, we joked around a lot this season about the furor over him and his not playing, and how would he acquit to England in the Premier League? Oh, good heavens. And there was a lot of gnashing of teeth and clutching of pearls about the young man. But since the project restart, he's crushed it. He has done so well in these last couple months for Chelsea. I've been very impressed, and showing the kind of flair I think we always knew he could potentially have in him. And to do it at the end of his first season in the Premier League, I thought was very impressive. So big blow, though, Wes, to Chelsea going forward from there.
Think about Pulisic from Project Restart. I don't know if he wasn't Chelsea's best player.
I don't disagree.
I don't know if you can't say he wasn't the Premier League's best player after Restart. Was absolutely fantastic. Had a big hand in dragging Chelsea kicking into 4th place.
Yes.
There were some days just, I don't want it. Christian's like, well, too damn bad, we're getting it, so come on. It was disappointing to see him go out like that. And, the one thing, one season into England now, I think we can say he's found a nice groove. He's found Christian Pulisic can not only play in the Premier League, he can star in the Premier League.
Absolutely.
Here's the thing, though, that we still need to learn. Can he stay healthy enough to be a star in the Premier League?
Yep.
Because this first season was injury, get going, injury, get going, injury. And the hallmark of the true global stars is their availability. You've got to be there, and you've got to be there for your team when it matters most. And I mean, no, don't get me wrong. Everybody picking up an injury, even a long-term injury, obviously that happens.
Yeah.
But for Christian, it seems like it's been more the niggling injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And especially, God, I can say as a Liverpool fan. Anyone remember Michael Owen?
Yeah.
The hamstring.
Mm-hmm.
That's one you've got to figure out and you've got to get under control because
Yeah.
a bad hamstring can derail a career as quick as any other injury out there, if not quicker. We've seen guys who had the chronic hamstrings who were great players, but never really hit that top potential that they had because at the end of the day, they just couldn't stay healthy. I mean, I bring up Michael Owen. Michael Owen won the Ballon d'Or when he was like 22, 23. And then by the time he got to Real Madrid, he couldn't stay healthy for the rest of his career. And by 27 was a shell of the player he had been due to injuries. Hamstrings are brutal. They will absolutely kill you. They're obviously vital for great footballers. You got to have good hamstrings. But that's something. That's the next thing. So Pulisic, he can play. There's no doubt he can play, and he can be a very big time cog for a Champions League squad. But now Pulisic has to find a way to stay healthy while doing what he's doing.
Oh, absolutely. And, we look to even in the modern times here at Tottenham, you're looking at a guy like Harry Kane, who could be one of the great Premier League players ever, but has just had so many injuries piling up that even though he came back in this restart and also did quite well, you have to wonder how many more injuries can he really take and be at that like elite level that we've seen him be in years past. So I mean, things like this just add up over time, and hopefully, Lady Physio over at Chelsea will be able to give Pulisic the treatment he needs because this would be I think for Pulisic to go over from America and potentially become the first great American Premier League player. I mean, there have been some who've succeeded and done pretty well. Dempsey had his moments. Donovan had his moments.
Brad McBride was a really good player.
True.
We kind of forget Brad McBride, but he was a good one.
But this could be the first one who, like, with all eyes on him, could really make an impact on one of the top Premier League clubs. So I think we as like just fans from America are really pulling for him, even though he plays for Chelsea, to have such a successful career, and hopefully he can get these injuries under control because the kid belongs. And I hate to keep calling him a kid, but he proved this year he belongs in a league, and now he's just got to stay there. So good luck to you, lad. Last little thing about the cup that came out, and I want to get your thoughts on this, was some quotes from Frank Lampard afterwards, talking about how with their FA Cup just being played, they're also going to be taking a match against Bayern Munich in the Champions League in the next couple days. Now, that will probably be their last match of the Champions League because they're down 3-0 to Bayern on the aggregate right now.
They're not getting past Bayern, but yeah.
But that will be their last match, and then about a month and 3 or 4 days later, they'll be starting up again. And Lampard came out and said, the quote, "The players need a rest before we prepare for that game," according to the standard.co.uk. Even in a worst case scenario, we don't go through against Bayern. The 12 feels too early for the players to start playing again. The players need a break. That is why we have pulled 2 hamstrings and had players pull out of the game before this. I would like to think the Premier League would seriously look at that and hopefully give us a fair start next season. We talked about how, if some team makes it to the final, their initial start at the Premier League could be pushed back a week from September 12th. And, hearing this, Wes, I'm kind of two minds. Because on one hand, we've joked a little bit on this pod over the last couple months about, the players needing a break and like, well, you just got a 3-month break before the restart. So you had that sort of break. On the flip side, and to Lampard's point a little bit, they did also play a large amount of games in a very compressed period of time, and came back with just a week or two of training to kind of get back into game shape. So I can both see where he's coming from, and both see the need, A, because they did have already this whole time off, and B, wanting to get started again, not knowing what the pandemic's going to do once we hit the fall and into the winter again. I can see this is a situation where I can really see both sides of the coin here, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an unprecedented time. The timeline is completely skewed. Everything is off. I mean, we're really completely playing this whole shit by ear, and just hoping we don't have any massive outbreaks. So, yeah, we'll just we'll see what's going to happen in the next 6-8 weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
Really, all we can do is just watch and assess.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, especially for these teams playing. And then you look to teams like United, who, as we transition to our Europa League, a little quick roundup here, they're still alive in it after a dominating 5-0 win against Lask all the way back in March. They do finish the job with a 2-1 win at Old Trafford today. Jesse Lingard got to dab in the 57th minute with a goal. Martial also added one for a 2-1 win. They will be playing Copenhagen in the next round. Also advancing were Inter and Shakhtar. And if we look at some other ones here, Wolves will be looking to join the round of 8 as well. They are, as I try to find them here, I know they were a 1-1 draw. Yes, 1-1 draw last time against Olympiacos. That was a weird match where Olympiacos actually got the first goal after going down a man to a red card in that one. So Olympiacos will be heading to the Molineux tomorrow, so I assume they're kind of already there. But they will be looking to see what they can do about that 1-1 draw. Wolves looking to try and get a Champions League berth for next season. And then Wes, the big daddies. Sure. The big daddies start on Friday and Saturday. The Champions League will be back. We finally finish up the second leg. On Friday, Real Madrid versus Man City. Man City owns a 2-1 lead as they head to the Etihad. And then Lyon versus Juventus. That one will be in Italy. And Lyon owns the somewhat surprising 1-0 lead in that tie. And then on Saturday, you have the aforementioned Bayern Munich-Chelsea match, as well as Barcelona-Napoli, which is tied at 1 apiece. Wes, this is a big weekend of matches here, especially for a team like Manchester City, who this is they got their big victory against UEFA, and they're in the Champions League next year. And now they want to go ahead and put their stamp on this one as well and finally win that elusive Champions League title.
They do, but here's the thing that kind of screws City. I wouldn't say screws them, but I mean it's just the reality of it. I mean, when they played Real back in February, March, whenever it was, I mean, Real was on the ropes. That was Real Madrid barely hanging on to their season at that point. They were absolutely exhausted. They were just shredded, and the City just ran them over. Well, now you look at Real Madrid 6 months later, and this is Real Madrid who just won 10 straight to win La Liga. All those older stars had a nice long vacation, and they've had a nice break after La Liga's finished.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're evened up now. It's make or break time, and there's no big psychological advantage for City or anything like that. Now it's just going to be straight up who can go and handle the pressure better. And this is this is where Real Madrid is. I mean, they're legendary for overturning first leg losses, coming back and winning. And I mean, really in this match, you look at Real, they already won La Liga, so they've already got a trophy in the books this year, and they got a big one for them. They're already trailing this. Real's playing with house money. Oh, plus the fact that they won it 13 times, so they didn't win it. Real's kind of playing with house money going in here, where for City, it's like, shit, this is our opportunity. So, I mean, you look at it, man, you get past this round of 16, it's a 3-game playoff, 3 and you're in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything is so tantalizingly right there. There's no 2-leg ties. You don't have to worry about all that. You just go. And for City, this might be their best opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think they know that. So does City play tight? And, I mean, we've seen Pep in these situations before. I mean, Pep can either be the greatest Champions League manager ever. It's nice when you have Messi and potentially the best team ever. Or they can be complete bottlers in this competition. And what Manchester City is going to show up, don't forget, no Sergio Aguero in this either.
Injured.
So it's up to Jesus to lead the line. And, he scored a goal in the first tie of this, but I'd much rather have Aguero myself.
I don't disagree with that. The important thing to remember here is City will get that nice benefit of having their 2 away goals. So even if it ends 1-0 to Real, although I don't think that'll happen, City would still go through with the away goals. So there is that little benefit they have, but I'm sure Real Madrid would be happy to turn this thing into a shootout. And that would be.
And don't forget Real Madrid. No Sergio Ramos. He is suspended.
Poor thing.
For a red card. So the one time you're like, they ain't got that little asshole.
The winner of that match will be taking on the winner of Lyon versus Juventus, as well as Bayern Munich most likely will be taking on the winner of Napoli versus Barcelona. The other ties will be Leipzig versus Atletico and Atalanta versus PSG. My last question is, Wes, before we get out of here, this topic, do you think, because you did touch on it a little bit when you were just talking about City, do you think going to a neutral venue after these completion of second legs here, and then also going to essentially best of ones instead of 2-leg ties for the remainder, do you think that benefits anybody in particular as we look to the end here?
I'm going to tell you, out of that group, the one that really intrigues me is Atalanta. Really, of all teams.
You stole my answer, damn it. I hate you.
Well, we're both on the same page. I mean, we can both talk on it. But, I mean, they play such an up-tempo, high-paced style where they can turn anything into a shootout. And when goals start rolling, all bets are off. If you can score, it's here's the thing. To win the league, you've got to have a defense. To win a tournament, it's hot hand. Especially when you don't have to go over 2 ties. It's 90 minutes. It's hot hand. Crazy shit happens. Someone like Atalanta could absolutely. God, that would be the ultimate cool shit ever to see Atalanta win this. Atletico Madrid, I think, is another team that could be very difficult in this scenario. They play such a different style under Simeone. So they've already knocked out the holders. So they've got that juju going for them. They've played and they've gotten a break. So, they could definitely be a dark horse. And of course, you leave them out there. This could be the perfect setup for PSG. Because I think PSG's biggest problem is they overthink shit in the second leg too often. I mean, you just give PSG, hey, 90 minutes, Neymar, go win it. Mbappe, maybe, we'll see. But you put a guy like Neymar. Neymar's a guy in a 90-minute match. Neymar can go win it for you. So here's a few. Why don't you follow that in?
Yeah, I love the Atalanta pick, and the only problem is that they are playing PSG in that first quarterfinal. I do think, you look back, they scored 4 goals in both the legs of the tie against Valencia. This is a team that loves to score goals, and if they put like 2 quick ones in PSG in the first like 30 minutes, I think that's over. I think that's just game at that point. Whereas I think even if PSG gets like one, let's say in the 25th minute, I think Atalanta obviously has the firepower to get back in that. And then if they equalize, like, does PSG just go mental boom? Like, because you mentioned like they think the second legs, but I think in a one game winner take all scenario, I think that's going to be just as much pressure. And I think PSG could absolutely go into this nervous as shit, especially since I think they should be, despite all the heaps of praise we've been delivering to Atalanta, they should be the favorites in this match.
Absolutely.
So I think PSG.
I mean, really, casual fan, name anyone who plays for Atalanta.
Exactly.
I mean, I can name the manager as Gasparini. I mean, don't get me wrong, Atalanta has some very good players, but I mean,
yeah,
you're talking PSG, who they have Neymar, they have Mbappe, even though I don't believe he's going to play this match due to the injury. I mean, this is a very expensively built team. Mario Icardi. This is a team with a lot of firepower and a lot of big names. Yeah, they're definitely going to be your favorite on paper. So, but at the same time, they're PSG.
Exactly. I also think one of the things that Atalanta could also benefit from with playing that up-tempo style, considering we're going to be playing these matches real quick. I mean, they're going to be playing that quarterfinal match on August 12th, and they're turning right around on August 18th and playing again. And the team they're playing will have played on August 13th, so they will have an extra day of rest on either Leipzig or Atletico. Although I think Atalanta versus Atletico could just be such a great matchup due to the contrasting styles. But yeah, so I think maybe it's something like that. It's about how used to you are you playing at a high tempo and with little rest. Because we've already had this like sprint to the finish here in a lot of these leagues,
Right.
And now it's a shrunk down Champions League. This is gonna be fascinating. And hey, you play that semifinal on August 18th, you turn around and play on August 23rd for the final. There is very little downtime in this Champions League tournament. So yeah, this is one of those I've talked about, and I'm even going to mention it in an article when we pimp the Athletic later. There's a lot of somewhat unrandomness sometimes in football. We talk a lot about how in the Champions League, it's always the big names that kind of poke through. If there was ever a tournament where some crazy random shit could happen in any year, it's this one. So there you go. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. And now it's just gonna be like Real versus Juventus or some shit.
Yeah. Oh god! Oh, Barcelona.
Oh, no.
God, I saw something that said we really need a Barcelona Juve final because one more time we need Messi and Ronaldo. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what we need. It's another
yes
kissing of Messi and Ronaldo. That's exactly what the hell we need.
Yeah, because we didn't have enough El Clásicos.
Because that hasn't happened enough over the last decade, has it? Deservedly so. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, sure.
They deserved all the plaudits, but it has been kind of a new interest thing not seeing that be the only story over the last 2 seasons. Them playing against each other every time. So.
Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Ray Hudson probably doesn't like it, but it's pretty.
Oh, my just kidding. Oh, by the way, my athletic story of the day, Ray Hudson features prominently in
it. Well, we're going to go to the Athletic,
folks.
Very nice tease. We're going to head over to the Athletic now, not to pimp it just yet, but very quickly to talk about the first story of the day here. I'm just gonna, I sometimes just like to drop the headline and then just let it sit for a second or two and just let it marinate. Here's the headline from Matt Slater. why the Premier League couldn't let Newcastle's Saudi takeover happen. It's the thing we knew was probably coming for about the last month when the deal just never happened. Wes called it, I think, back in May.
I called it with him like a week. I'm like, oh, this won't happen. It's too good a thing for Newcastle fans. This won't happen.
Whether it's been, human rights abuses by the Saudis or their weird, wacky, be-out cute TV channel that pirates illegal Premier League streams, this seemed like it was always doomed. And there's a ton of great articles about this on The Athletic. I think I read 3 or 4 different ones. I just happened to pick this one to bring up the topic on today's pod. But Wes, as much as we've been joking about, this is devastating for Newcastle fans. I've seen petitions wanting to be signed for explanations of what the fuck happened here from the Premier League angle, because it looks like the Premier League just kind of...
I agree, and I will happily sign that petition, by the way.
Because it looks like the Premier League just kind of sat on their hands and just waited for the Saudis to finally walk away from the table, which they did end up doing. There's been a lot of talk of, well, Mike Ashley still owns the club and he doesn't really want to be there anymore. Season starts in a month. What the fuck's going to happen there? But Wes, this is just, it's in a way it's funny to watch because it's like watching a sitcom hit all the beats are coming in the episode, and it's hilarious. But at the same time, you just, you got to feel really bad for the Newcastle fans that have had to go through this seemingly almost year after year now of not being able to get rid of Mike Ashley. And the fact they were so close, it seems like, and couldn't quite do it through no fault of their own, couldn't quite get to the finish line with is just absolutely dreadful.
And the problem is, it's not like you can say, okay, well, who's the next person up? No, this whole process has to start again.
Yeah.
And, not only for Newcastle fans were fed the dream of not only getting rid of Mike Ashley, but all the big money oil takeover, which means, within a few years, there's a good chance you're in contention because you've got the financial clout. I don't even think that Newcastle fans are like, oh, we've got to have that. They're just like, just get us somebody who, wants to at least see us be competitive and will give us a chance.
Yeah.
I don't think Newcastle are holding out for, we have to have a nation state or, a Russian oil oligarch. They don't have that. I think they just want someone to come in who can put some money into it, but also gives a damn about the club. And I think that's the biggest thing Newcastle fans have with Mike Ashley. They just feel he doesn't care about the club. It seemed like he was like, oh, it's going to be cool to own a Premier League team. And then he's like, oh, and it's nice to get this money from the Premier League. But I don't think Mike Ashley really cares overall about Newcastle. And Newcastle, it's one of those clubs, the fan base is so loyal and they're so ravenous and obsessive over it, where they want to care. They do care. It's not that they want to care. They do care.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's this romantic thought of Newcastle. Oh, they're a classically great, top flight. No, they're not. I mean, they've had their days in the sun. That's what Newcastle say. We've had our moments. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, this is Newcastle where 50 years of never living up to expectation, and they still come to St. James Park, and they still travel to other parks, and they sell it out, and they're extremely loyal, and they're loud, and they're passionate. You've got all that at Newcastle. It is a fantastic atmosphere just waiting to be unleashed on a winner or on someone who at least will give them a chance to compete. I'll use the old Liverpool phrase that we still use at times, make us dream. I think that's all Newcastle wants. Give us a reason to dream. Give us a chance.
Yeah,
and let us stream. Make a stream. And it seemed like they were going to have the opportunity to really dream about something. And what pisses me off to no end about it here is not that the Premier League, well, here's the thing, the Premier League never said no.
Yeah. They just sat on their hands.
They just sat there and they let them twist in the wind for 4 months on this bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
4 months. And whatever you may think about the Saudi Arabian group, you might think they're the biggest assholes who's ever lived. That's fine.
And
but
I do, but
no one deserves to get that kind of treatment. I mean, this is business. At the same time, this is business. That's not how you run a business. You don't just leave it out there. And and who suffered from this? Those Newcastle fans who now once again are back at square one, and there's nowhere even near being an answer for them. You could have told us 3 months ago, Premier League, no, this ain't going to work. And they could have been working on something else. But now, they're right back at the beginning. And I hate it. I hate it for the Newcastle fans. They deserve better. They deserve better. Once again, I'm not saying you've got to give them an oligarch or a nation state. But they deserve better than Mike Ashley, and they deserve better than what the Premier League did to them.
Absolutely.
So, usually we save this for the likes of Roger Goodell and Mark Emmert and Rob Manfred, all those guys. Shame on you, Premier League. Shame on you. And we don't even like Newcastle, so shit.
Exactly. Oh my God, that's so true. Yeah, it's just such a rough situation, and I feel so bad for them because it's not even like I particularly like Newcastle fans, but I can clearly see how passionate they are for this team, and it's just such a damn shame. Especially the way it was like if the Premier League had just come out and said from like the jump street, they came in with their bid and they said this is who's going to be backing us. We're being backed by Saudis, and the Premier was just like Nah, we ain't here for that shit. Sorry, we drew the line at Russian oligarchs and the Emirates. That's Saudi Arabia. That's the red line. We won't cross it. We're not crossing that Rubicon. But they didn't, and they just kind of let this peter out, and that's so tragic. So
they left them hanging, man, and
it's in my opinion, it's actually the right outcome happened. I do agree that they should not have been the group to take over because I don't want Saudi money in the Premier League, but they should have done this so much better. So much they could have handled it better. But I real quick, I do wonder if this is something that just popped in my head. I do, and maybe I'm just regurgitating from somewhere and forgot that I actually read it somewhere. I do wonder if that decision we joked about a few weeks ago, where the Saudi government basically said, "No, we're going to keep pirating illegal streams and distributing on our state-run channel," was kind of like the final straw for them, and they were like, "Yeah, you know what? Fuck you." You want to be dicks about this? We can be dicks too. We're just you wanted an answer. Sorry, you sent your question to the wrong email address, Saudis. So I wonder if there was a little bit of gamesmanship there at the end. So unlucky. Speaking of gamesmanship that no one wants to see in the Premier League, this headline from SkySports.com. Man City won 4 more signings.
Of course it.
This coming off the heels of Nathan Ake completing his £41 million transfer from Bournemouth. I believe I think this was a Bleacher Report notification. Pep has now signed over £300 million worth of defensive players at Man City. Cool. That's nice. They've been linked to the often talked about on this show Koulibaly. They already got Ferran Torres, who we talked about a little bit ago. They've also inquired about João Felix, according to The Athletic. Like this was the reckoning we all saw happening as soon as the Court of Arbitration of Sports said, "Nah, sorry, I guess we're not holding that financial fair play decision over them. They're free to do whatever after they pay the fine." And I'm sure, hey, we've seen teams spend money before and fall flat on their face. Manchester United. But I just am very scared, Wes, that this is just the complete reloading of the arsenal, not pun intended, and Manchester City are just ready to like raffle stomp over the league again. Despite the best of efforts, the strong team in Liverpool will put up against them.
Well, now the one thing, let's put it this way, they'll throw a lot of money at it. For City, they still have to find somebody at the back, though. I'm not convinced that Nathan Ake is some great signing.
It's John Stones 2.0.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Ake's he's a good defender, but I mean, he's nowhere near the level of a Koulibaly. I mean, it's not like you signed Virgil van Dijk here or Harry Maguire or anyone like that. I mean, I don't have him anywhere near the Harry Maguire category. He's a good Premier League defender, but I mean, is he going to be that much of an improvement over Stones or Otamendi? We'll see, but let's put it this way: I don't think. Oh my God, they got Ferran Torres and they got Nathan Ake. City's back, baby. No, because I mean, Ferran Torres, to counteract that, you're losing David Villa. That ain't no improvement on David Villa, I'll tell you that much. And
David Silva.
Oh, Silva, I'm sorry.
Wrong one.
I got my Spanish Davids. My tiny
basically
Spanish
the same
Davids.
person.
Sure. But he's no David Silva.
Yeah.
And Ake's not that guy who's going to take you to the next level. Ake gives you flexibility. I'm not going to lie, I wouldn't mind seeing Ake at Liverpool. For the simple fact that he can play, he's left-footed, and he can play left back. Which for us would have been great because it would have given us backup at two positions. That's what Ake does do. But I mean, personally, to me, I don't see Nathan Ake as anything but depth. He's not.
Is something, real quick. We at the beginning of this Premier League season back 47 years ago, we discussed how, if there's one thing City might get screwed up over, especially after not Otamendi,
Laporte.
Yeah, Laporte. After he got injured, we were like, and after they let Kompany walk, they're like, who do they have back there? So the fact that they're actually looking to strengthen up that part, even if they aren't looking for Ake to be like the number one starter, is addressing an area of concern for them. And if they do go out and get a Koulibaly, if they do go out and get other players of that caliber, that's what I'm afraid of. It's not that Nathan Ake and Ferran Torres are going to win in the league. It's that this is the beginning of the heralding of the gigantic signings City's going to have this summer.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, if you go out and get a Koulibaly, then you look at Ake, you're like, okay, I get it now. It makes a little more sense. But here's another thing. I'll tell you, here's another thing with City. You talk about how much they've spent on defenders, and the only one they trust is Laporte.
Yeah.
I mean, he spent more on just fullbacks than most any other club in the world has spent in the last 5 years in transfers. He spent more on fullbacks and can't figure out how to get one right. So City, until they really solve that back line, City are still fabulously explosive going forward. But they're not a lock-on to come back and take the league. I mean, what makes Liverpool so tough is that they're tough to break down. And I don't give a shit. Here's the thing, Liverpool, I don't give a shit what happened after Project Restart. It was over. It was in the bag for Liverpool. We know that. But Liverpool, before Project Restart especially, my God, they were tough to score against. For the last 2 years, basically since they got Virgil van Dijk and then Allison, they're brutal to try to score against. Mm-hmm. And that's the one place where City, and I don't give a shit about that 4-0. Or was it even 4-1? I don't even know. I don't care. Because it didn't mean anything. At that point in the season, it meant nothing. But they can't hope to just go out and outscore everybody. You know, we said it earlier, to win the league, you've got to be able to stop people. And right now they're not able to do it. And we'll see if they can get it right back there, but it's been very difficult for them to get it right. So you can have all the money you want, but you've still got to go buy the right players, not just the expensive players, but the right players.
I'm sure City will try to do both.
Right. They'll succeed. They'll buy some expensive guys. There's no doubt about
that. As we look at the betting odds for next Premier League that starts in about a month here. Currently, this is according to oddschecker.com. Man City, and you're going to have to help me on this because I don't know when it's like the plus, what that really means. I just know the lower numbers mean it's a greater chance of it happening. Higher numbers mean it's a less chance. City is currently the favorites at plus 105. Liverpool is plus 185. And then the next one is Man United at plus 650. And then Chelsea at plus 1200. I don't know what that means.
I mean, so let me try to remember it. That means that if you bet $100, City will pay out $105.
Okay.
If you bet $100, Liverpool would pay out $185.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, if you bet $100 on City, you'll net $5 at the end of the day.
Okay, right. Okay, I got it. So yeah, so Chelsea, if you bet $100, you'll get net $1,100.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, so that's your odds. Arsenal.
We're not gamblers, folks.
We're really not. Arsenal and Tottenham are next, joint at plus 6,600. Then Leicester and Wolves are both plus 15,000. Everton is plus 20,000, and then Newcastle is plus 50,000.
But you got a Geordie manager.
So after all we talked about, City spending big and all the craziness and how strong Liverpool will still be, any thoughts on those odds heading into next season?
I mean, it's fine. City and Liverpool should still be your two strongest squads.
Mm-hmm.
Anything can happen. People can fall apart, but I mean, the consistency of Liverpool, you don't expect them to fall apart too much. And not only that, but I think one big thing for Liverpool is just the fact you've got Jurgen Klopp, and he's not going to let you just die. You know, that's the thing. Klopp is not going to let Liverpool drop their level but so much.
Right.
That's why I do think it's really important that we bring in a couple of guys just because you need that freshening up of the squad, son, especially losing a few. But, you know, Klopp's not going to let Liverpool drop. City, you would figure City are going to come back with a vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a really weird year for City. The Laporte injury put them behind the 8 ball very early in the year. Mm-hmm. I don't think City's really a 9-loss team.
Yeah.
I don't think they were as good as Liverpool this year. Don't get me wrong. I still think Liverpool, the best team, won the Premier League this year by far.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if overall, with a healthy Laporte, if Liverpool are 18-point winners over City.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, that might drop down to about a 9-point spread over City, maybe. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think those two are going to be right up there battling 1-2 again. I really think United is the wild card. Mm-hmm. they've hit a really nice stride since Bruno Fernandes, and their trophy should be displayed for having the highest point total since they got Bruno Fernandes.
There it is. Y'all knew it was coming. But
I mean, really, since getting Bruno Fernandes, they have been a much better squad. So, you've got to expect that they should show a season-long improvement. Defensively, they got better as the season went. They weren't a complete shambles. They actually ended up pretty high up the table defensively, for whatever that's worth. I really think they need to find another center back to go with Harry Maguire. I don't think Lindelof or Bailly or the great Phil Jones, even though apparently they're bringing back Chris Smalling because he went to Italy and got really good, apparently. Did apparently have an extremely good season at Roma online. So, so I guess he's going to be he's the missing piece now. This Jadon Sancho transfer is out there.
Yeah.
What that's worth. But the thing is, and here's the thing, I completely understand why United want Jadon Sancho. If for no other reason, it's a freaking home run commercially. And we know United loves their commercialisms. It is an absolute home run. Jadon Sancho in 3 years is going to be, if not just the best English player on the face of the earth. Jadon Sancho could potentially win a Ballon d'Or. He's potentially that good. So obviously United would want him. Do United need him? That's where it gets a little iffy. They've got a lot of talent up front. And, as much as they've talked about they're going to promote the youth and do all this, you say that and you're like, but we're going to go spend $100 million on it. So, United have bigger needs than Jadon Sancho, but I think finding the Bruno Fernandes piece of the puzzle, it should improve United over a season long. I still don't think they're near City, Liverpool at the end of the year, but I definitely think United are kind of that wild card. Back-to-back seasons, they finished on 66 points. So people have said, well, is that really improvement? Have they shown improvement? Well, you know what? They showed improvement after they got Bruno Fernandes. I can tell you that for a fact. They showed improvement. So does this mean Ali is Alex Ferguson? Absolutely not. But I would expect an improvement over 66 points next season for United.
I would also throw in there, I think a little bit of that 66 points from the last season was a little bit of the Solskjaer bounce from when they got rid of Mourinho midway through the season. Right. So because they had a little bounce when he came in, and then they kind of fell apart again back towards the end.
They went on that run right after he came in.
So I wonder if, and yes, it's a similar thing where we're talking about this mid-season change where something new comes into the team. But I think Fernandes coming in as a more sustainable wave that they can ride more than a new manager coming in.
Right.
And I think that's a push going forward. So if they were able to meet, especially as super not great as they were, to start the season, they do look so much better with him in that lineup now.
Oh, right.
And that is a somewhat scary team going forward, where even if they don't win the league, and hell, they beat City this year, so I mean, it wouldn't be a shock if they beat them again next year, but it does seem like one of those teams that could be that Leicester, where for half a season, maybe more, they're pushing those other two teams.
Right. They are very capable of going on runs.
Yes.
Very capable. Where City and Liverpool are more going to be your sustainers. United are the team that can go 15 unbeaten and win 10 of those. They can do that. They will have that ability. But like we say, can they do it over a 38-match season? That is definitely the big question to be seen. Chelsea, Chelsea got the Champions League, and all they're trying to do is change that team, especially at the back. Wow,
we can buy people again.
So bad at the back. You want to talk about a team running, gunning, and outscoring people? That is Chelsea to a T. The problem is their goalkeeper is a disaster at the moment. Their defense is a disaster at the moment. If Chelsea had their way, they would have 4 new starters along the back and a new keeper by the end of the year, or by the beginning of the season. And I don't know how that's going to happen.
Yeah.
This whole Kepa thing is just, God, that is such a fun dumpster fire to watch. The world's most expensive goalkeeper, and they can't play him. You can't play the guy. He is so in his own head now. It's not funny. What do you do with him? Because no one else can pay for him. At least no one who would want him as a keeper can pay for him. Chelsea are kind of like those guys who, it's like, I don't even know how to describe Chelsea right now. I don't have a good parallel for it, but
not great.
They just keep buying more bullets. Okay, they just keep buying more bullets when maybe you just need some Kevlar. It's like, we need to slow something down. Best way to slow it down is to keep shooting.
Yes.
Okay. They've gone out. They've added Hakeem Ziyech. They've added Timo Werner. We're expecting any day they're going to add Kai Havertz. Great players, all. Don't get me wrong. Fantastic players. But, you've got Pulisic. You've got Abraham. You've got Hudson-Odoi. You've got these young, exciting attackers. So what do? You keep going and finding more young, exciting attackers. You can only play so many of them, Frank. Oh, man. Frank ever thought of putting himself and Steven Gerrard in center mid together? That always worked. That's Chelsea. Chelsea are exciting. They're up-tempo. They're going to be really fun to watch. It just may be a little more like old Liverpool to watch, where it's like, oh, shit, we're going to score 4, but we might give up 4 today. It might be mid-90s Newcastle, Kevin Keegan's Newcastle, where it's like, shit. We are so good going forward, but we are such a travesty going backwards. So, it'll be fun. Hey, one thing with Chelsea, it'll be fun at least. And now you put Champions League on top of them. Mm-hmm. There's a train of thought out there that felt it would not be the worst idea for Chelsea to not make the Champions League this year.
Okay.
And just get themselves out of Europa as fast as possible. But you can't do that in the Champions League, unless you're Brendan Rodgers and decide you can do that. But I'm still bitter about that Champions League run. But anyway. So that's Chelsea. Tottenham have a lot of questions, and I don't know if Josie has all the answers. Leicester, let's see if Leicester can hold on to the Madisons, Chilwells of the world. If Leicester can hold on to their guys and add a few more, that's a very interesting team going into next year, because they've had a taste, and now let's see if they can build on that taste. Mm-hmm. Arsenal, shit. Who the hell knows? Well, I'll touch on Arsenal when I get to my athletic stories, but Arsenal are at a point they have got to figure out what their immediate goal is. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, they need to figure out if they're reloading or if they're just stripping it down and rebuilding.
Exactly, and it all starts with Abba. So we'll see.
Big questions. Well, it's nice that you brought up the Athletic, because that's where we're going to turn next. We like to pimp out the Athletic. From my article this week, one, if you haven't been keeping up with it, and I unfortunately had not, Joe Posnanski still counting down the top 60 moments in baseball history, now doing just one a week. So we still have some more to go here. But number 12, David Ortiz homers in Game 7 of the ALCS on October 20th, 2004. Not even the biggest David Ortiz moment of that playoff series. But,
maybe about the third biggest moment of that playoff series. It was awesome. Well, I think that was the moment we knew.
Yeah. Yeah, that was oh man, that was but that's great as always. I also would like to do this article from Michael Cox entitled "In a World Where Leagues Are So Predictable, Cups Provide the Shock and Magic." Yeah, because this is something I've kind of felt for a while, and I couldn't put it nearly as eloquently as Michael Cox did. But it's one of those things where it's a little less in England, where we have had a decent amount of turnover in who wins the league. But they have this nice table here of the top 5 leagues: England, Spain, Italy, Germany, France, and who's won the league since starting the 2010-11 season. And in England, we've had United, City, Chelsea, Leicester, and Liverpool all win. Spain, it's been Barcelona and Real Madrid, except for that 1 year Atletico won. Italy has been Juventus last 9 years, and at the turn of the decade, Milan won. Bayern, it's been, or Germany, yes, Bayern is now just what we call Germany. It's been Bayern for the last 8 years there, except for those first 2 years, Dortmund won. And then France, since that money came into PSG, it's been them, except for one-off Monaco year.
Which was also a year full of money.
Yes.
And that Monaco team was quickly disassembled and sold off. And yeah.
And so when you compare that to which of those clubs also then went and won their respective leagues' domestic cups, there is a little bit of shakeup there. There is a little bit of difference. In Germany, we've had teams like Schalke and Wolfsburg and Frankfurt win their cup. We've seen, in England, we had Wigan win. Arsenal have won. In Italy, it's been Napoli and Lazio who've also won the cup there. So the article is basically saying, if you, as much as we like to make fun of the cups and how some teams in England don't really, treat them maybe as seriously as they should sometimes.
It's in England,
yeah. There is something to be said of, especially in the other leagues, with how boring they can become. And I felt it, over the last couple of years. Like, I don't pay nearly as much attention to the leagues outside of England anymore, because at some point I figure, I'm just going to show up in April in a non-COVID year, and Bayern's probably going to be leading the Bundesliga. Like, that's just what I think. Juventus is probably going to be leading Serie A. So why really follow it that closely?
Bayern like to let you have this idea that it's going to be different this year. And then, because then they do the Christmas break, and then they come back, and then Bayern just runs everybody out of the building.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing that kind of celebrates, especially the FA Cup, for giving us some, and the other cups in the domestic leagues, some semblance of chaos. Where the league table, as they say, the table don't lie, and it generally does not. But it is nice to see some different teams, and I think that's maybe kind of an American thing, because even, and I was thinking earlier, even when we had that dominant Yankees team, in the mid to late 90s, like, they won 4 out of 5 World Series, and then didn't win another until almost 10 years later. But everybody was already kind of, unless you were a Yankees fan, was already kind of like, all right, you guys have won 3 straight World Series. We'd kind of like to see somebody else win one now and again. It'd be pretty nice. We like to joke about the Patriots, but even they lost some. There were other teams that did end up coming through and winning. The NBA has shifted hands. The NHL is a fucking crapshoot. So it may just be the American in me who likes to see a little bit of chaos and uncertainty thrown in.
What is the most American of all things but the NCAA tournament?
Yes.
And what's our favorite thing? Our favorite thing is the first weekend where, literally, now that, what happened to Virginia a few years ago, anybody can get beat in the first round. Anybody can you can be the best team in the country, and you can be playing a team no one's ever heard of, Maryland, Baltimore County, And the next thing you know, you're done. And we as Americans, we love that because we love for everybody. Here's the thing. We don't want everybody to have an equal playing field. Don't get me wrong on that.
Mm-hmm.
But we want everybody to at least have a chance. You want to look at everybody and say, well, if everything went right, we love a good tournament. Where, obviously, right now, Bayern's going to win the Bundesliga every year because they've got more money. They've got a deeper squad. They're just better than everybody. Juventus, they're just better than everybody. PSG, they got more money. They're just better than everybody. No one there really has a chance. Where in the cups, it comes down. It's single. It's one and done. Just like we're talking about this Champions League, it's one and done. And on any given day, someone can rise up. So that's what we're all excited about, and that is the magic of the FA Cup.
Yes, unironically, the magic.
Any day. You think about the last time Liverpool won it. God, we finished fourth that year, maybe. We weren't anything great that year, and we played West Ham. and it was a freaking insta classic with Stevie G, beating Shaka Hislop in the last minute of extra time to force it, or in stoppage time to force extra time. It was an incredible game, and those weren't the two best teams in the league by any means, but it was incredible. Like you said, Wigan rising up and beating City was amazing. Where's Wigan since then? Hell, you better go about 3 leagues down to find Wigan now. They're in all kinds of damn issues, but they've got that FA Cup. So, it does offer. And then the outlier, of course, is Leicester. I still can't figure out what the hell happened that season. But, the Cup at least gives you that chance for some magic where the league it just doesn't. Sorry, it just doesn't really overall. You know who your best teams are. And that's more that marathon where the Cup is a sprint.
That's my article for the week. Wes, what you got?
I've got 3. I'm going to hit this first one real quick. Talking about Arsenal, talking about Alba. Arsenal must show their 2 geniuses that this is just the beginning. Goes back to what we were saying. What is Arsenal going to do? Are they going to rebuild? Because Arsenal do have a lot of really exciting young talent walking around there right now. Guys like Martinelli, Saka, what is the kid? Eddie Nketiah, I believe is his name. Arsenal are loaded with some really good young prospects. But if they want a chance to do anything right now, they need to give Aubameyang a shit ton of money. Here's the problem. They need to give him the money that they're paying Mesut Ozil. But it don't work like that,
Yeah.
Basically, Aubameyang is doing what you're paying Mesut Ozil to do. And unfortunately, Mesut Ozil isn't even making the bench anymore. So that's going to be a fun subplot this year. Is how much will Mesut Ozil actually play? By the way, finally in the last year of that contract. So Ozil available for a cut rate price. Anybody? But also for Arsenal, can they convince Aubameyang to stick around? Because here's Aubameyang, who is an amazing. I didn't ever realize. I realized it, but you don't ever think about Aubameyang's like 31, 32.
Yeah.
He just doesn't seem it because the way he plays, he's so quick. He's, So here's Aubameyang. He's getting for a speed guy. He is getting on to the end of his career, where he is a world-class player. How long does he want to stick around? What is his ambition? Because I'm sorry, you're not winning the league at Arsenal, and right now you can't get into the Champions League at Arsenal.
Yeah,
and I don't see a guy like Aubameyang being happy with, we won the FA Cup and we're going to Europa. Woo, we finished 8th. I can't see him being pleased with that long term. But at the same time, Arsenal, you can't replace Aubameyang. A, you don't have the money to go get anyone to replace Aubameyang. And B, you're not going to find anybody that good who's available.
Right.
It was a perfect storm that got him Aubameyang in the first place. The second one is Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta is 38 years old. This dude is my age. Well, that makes me feel great about where my life is right now. But anyway. Mikel Arteta has come in, and for whatever we think about Arsenal, Mikel Arteta has done a hell of a job.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you consider that these are the same guys that Unai Emery could not get a performance out of. They were done with Unai Emery. And Arteta's taken that team, taken out some of the biggest names of that team, and finished the season about as well, really, as Arsenal could, and then went and won the FA Cup. Arteta is I think he is a superstar manager on the rise. And then you've got to start questioning yourself. Yes, Arsenal is on paper. Arsenal is a big job. Is it big enough to keep him if they're not going to go and invest like Liverpool will invest, or a City will invest, or a United will invest, or Barcelona, or Real Madrid?
Right.
How big is the Arsenal job at the end of the day compared to the really big jobs? Because this ain't Arsenal 2005.
Right.
So that's basically what the article boils down to is, these are your two biggest key people right here out of everybody, Aubameyang and Arteta. How long can you keep them around if you keep your little nickel and dime bullshit going? And think, we won the FA Cup. Congratulations.
Yeah.
My second quick story. The Club X-Way delusion. Oh, you haven't read this.
Oh, I saw that. I didn't read it, but I saw that.
Oh, yeah. It is great. They basically go in. Basically, they take the phrase of, we don't play. We play the United way. We do it the Spurs way. Oh, we do it the Liverpool way. And he basically breaks down that whole thing about, okay, what exactly is your way? And he basically goes in hard on just everybody. It's really, it had me chuckling. Adam Hurry. It starts off, football fans are deluded. Yes. Yes, they are. So definitely a good little read there. And then my interesting read of the week, George Best in the U.S., a reality more unbelievable than the myth. If you don't know who George Best is, he's a Manchester United legend from the 1960s. In the early 1960s was one of, if not the best players in the world. George Best was one of the original celebrity football players. Northern Ireland guy. He was, really good looking, exciting, lived the Playboy party lifestyle, was always was one of the first ones in the newspapers all the time because, he was just a really interesting guy. Well, unfortunately for George Best, he also developed and became a really, really bad alcoholic. And that kind of ended his days as a great player in England a lot earlier than they should have. Basically, by his late 20s, he was physically shattered because of the way he took care of himself. So apparently after that, he went to the United States and played in the NASL for 3 different teams, including Los Angeles, Tampa Bay, and San Jose. And this story is just, it's people who were around him during his NASL years. It is fascinating. I love stories like this. Guys just telling stories about hanging out with George Best and the shit he would do. It's stuff he did that no one could get away with now. He would just disappear for a week. He just wouldn't show up to practice. And then he'd show up at the match and they'd be like, well, he's our best player. We got to play him. And he'd show up hungover and drink a cup of coffee and go out and score a brace and drop a world-class assist because that's just, of course, also that was soccer back in the day. So you can do a little more of that shit. It was much more of you hear him talk a drinky culture. Now, no one drinks.
Yeah.
They talk about the Liverpool guys. It's none of them go out and drink. So it's we had a little champagne. Oh, it's the first time I've drank in 3 years. Okay. So it's definitely a different culture now, a very different. But I like those old throwback stories. And this one, George Best, Pablo Mar did the article. It begins off with, "Give me the fucking ball. Give it to me." July 22nd, 1981. That came out on Monday, the 3rd. So go back and find it. Really good article. Really good.
Nice. All right, well, let's wrap up today's pod with a little bit of Watch 4. Wes, I've been excited. You teased it early. What you watching in the week that was or the week that will be?
And I've got two newbies. Well,
Ooh.
one's a new one. One's a new one, but it's an old one at the same time.
Okay.
I finally went and watched it all in 2 nights, actually. I watched Archer 1999.
Oh, okay.
I've
only watched half of
gotten to it. Oh God, watch it! It gets great by the end. It perfectly sets up for the upcoming season, which starts in about a month. So you need to get your Archer 1999 in, Ed Green. It's Archer. I mean, there's no say it's all Archer all the time. By the last 2 episodes, that shit is totally going off the rails. It is great. It's great. In my time machine to go back and watch the great shows of yesterday, by yesterday I mean of the 2000s, I randomly heard somewhere that it was on Hulu and went and got it. I was like, holy shit, yes, I've been looking for this for like 3 years to watch. I started The Shield.
Why did I think you'd watched The Shield before?
I have watched episodes of The Shield before, but I've never watched the whole part of The Shield.
Wow, this seems like such an on-brand thing for you too.
I mean, it totally is, and it's one of those. Once again, back in the early mid-2000s, I have this whole list of shows. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get to this one day. I'll get to this one day. You can buy them all on DVD now. I'll do that one day. Well, now I don't need to buy all those DVDs. I can just watch it, but it hadn't been streaming on anything. It hadn't been on Amazon. It hadn't been on Netflix, and I found it on Hulu. And I'm very happy. I'm about 4 episodes into season 1. Because I told you I finished my Better Call Saul. So I needed another show that I can watch in hour increments. So, I've started The Shield. Season 1 does give you a holy shit moment right there at the end of it. That kind of sets the tone for the rest of the series.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good, very well written, very well acted. A bunch of people you start recognizing as soon as you watch it, including
nice.
Oh my goodness, I can see him so good in my face right now and cannot come up with his name to save my life.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how good I am, folks. I mean, he's been in like 8 different shows I liked. He was in Justified. He's the bad guy in Justified. He was in 6. He was in Sons of Anarchy. Damn it. I've got to find it now. I can't. And I'm going to shoot myself as soon as I get right. Oh, Walton Goggins. Duh, Liz.
Oh, yes.
Walton Goggins is just amazing. I think Walton Goggins is one of the best actors anywhere right now. I mean, you need a character actor? There's no one better than Walton Goggins.
I would want no one else to give me a vial of cryogenically frozen sperm. That's what's up. That's what's up.
How was that not the first thing I thought of?
Well, and that's the funny thing. Like, I didn't know much about Walton Goggins before that episode of Community appeared, but all I knew was like he's usually like a bad dude, kind of like the Vulture on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, whose name I'm forgetting at the moment. They generally play like bad guys, so I was like, what are you doing here, Walton Goggins?
And he does, but he can play a straight man so great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he can play like an intimidating straight man. But I mean, you think about he's a bad guy in The Shield. He's a bad guy in Justified. But the thing is, he can also play like an anti-hero really well.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Justified, there were times you're like, wait a minute, no, he's not that bad. It's like, but I like him. He's not that bad. He actually played a trans gender person in Sons of Anarchy.
Huh.
He was a very handsome woman.
Very nice.
Yes. Played a very dirty role, but I mean, played it just to the T, absolutely to the T. Walton Goggins, one of the great character actors of this generation, without a doubt. So so that's all about The Shield, and New Archer starts next month. I'm really excited about New Archer. Apparently, it's going back to Secret Agent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did see that one of the promotional artworks in it. It looks like it's back in the real times.
Well, not to spoil it too much, but I'm not going to spoil it. You need to watch that.
Well, I imagined. You're not really spoiling it because I imagined always at the end of the season, if there was going to be another season, that at the end of this one there was going to be a resolution to what happened to him. So, so I'm not totally surprised.
Well, I won't spoil too bad, but he wakes up basically.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
wakes up from the coma that we knew he was in. So,
yeah. So I watched also a cartoon this weekend. One name producer Jackie and I, in the last 3 days, binged watched the entire second season of One Punch Man. That's a good anime, and I know people recoil in horror when I say the word anime, but yeah, this was a good one. I love this one because it's the story of what happens when there's a superhero who literally every dude he fights, it's one punch and they're dead. They explode. There's nothing left of them besides their organs or whatever. They're just dead. And it's like, what do you do as a superhero if no one gives you an actual challenge? And so season 2 kind of opens up like the Hero Association that he works as part of, and the broader aspects of that as they fight to keep the city safe, and what exactly is a hero? Why should you be a hero? Who are really good guys? What really separates being a good guy versus a villain? Why should the villains always lose, and why should the good guys always win? And it's just dumb as hell, and I love it because there's like Jackie even said it at the end of the season finale. She's like, there's some times when it gets super serious and super anime fighting, and then the next second they just like deadpan a joke, and you're like, "What? This is the dumbest show on the planet," and I love it. It's really really well done. Not the typical anime bullshit of girls with big boobies in fourth grade. This is that good wholesome anime bullshit. So yeah, really really good. One Punch Man is really strong and really funny. Trying to think. Haven't watched it yet, but it is probably going to be watched tomorrow, if not even maybe tonight after this, when I try to go to bed. I really want to watch Palm Springs. I think that's what it's called. The show that we talked about last week on Hulu, or the movie we talked about last week that's on Hulu with Andy Samberg. Would really, really like to go ahead and get that watched because that's been on my queue for a while. So hopefully, when next we talk, I will be able to talk about that as well. So that is my watch for the week. And with that brings this episode of the Foreign Affair Podcast to a close. Once again, I'd like to thank NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. We never stop. You can find them on the Soch as well as us. On Twitter, as a collective, we are at AFA Pod. Wes, you are?
I'm at Wes Bradshaw 21.
And I am at Edward Green. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube via our parent show, The All New Sports Show. And you can email us at allnewsportshow@gmail.com. Finally, thanks to our podcast providers, including Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, the TuneIn Radio app, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. So go check those out. But we will be back next week. We'll have plenty of Champions League action to talk about. We will have the end of the round of 16, and I believe half. No, we will not have half. We will have one of the quarterfinals done. I do believe it is that Atalanta PSG match. So we'll be able to talk about it. That's going to be fun, I think, to discuss next week. As well as any other news, transfer bullshit that happens in the meantime. Maybe Jadon Sancho will sign with United by then. Who knows?
Oh, no, Dortmund said he's playing for Dortmund next year.
So. They did say that. And as we know, whenever a club says something, it's as good as fact. So before we get out of here, though, for the night, Wes, is there anything else you'd like to drop in?
Just some quick college football news. Basically, all the major conferences have gone to conference-only schedules this year.
The SEC saying "fuck you, ACC" in the process.
Yeah, the SEC's pissed. The SEC is doing they're doing basically a 9+1, or they're doing a 10+1, which is, kind of something they were looking to get near anyway. But they're allowing their teams to play one non-conference game, while playing the rest of them conference games. The Big Ten's doing all conference, the Pac-12, the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference. They brought in Notre Dame this year. But I'm not going to bitch too much because it does mean we're trying as hard as we damn can to play some football. So, which I lose more and more hope every day that we're going to get any high school football this year. So I'm not holding my breath for that at all. The American Athletic Conference, which means East Carolina, has said, play our conference and play non-conference games. So go find some. So
all right,
we'll see what happens with that. They're not putting any sort of travel restrictions or anything. I mean, here's my deal with travel restrictions. Go anywhere you want as long as you're safe about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just because you suddenly go from Greenville to New Orleans doesn't mean you're going to get COVID or you're going to spread COVID. Do the 3 W's, which are what get wasted, wash your hands, and watch Archer. I don't know what the 3 W's are, but whatever. Just wash your hands and wear a fucking mask. I have issues with masks, but that's a whole nother. That's for our other podcast this week and why I'm having to wear a mask. So we'll see what happens. One thing the conferences have done is they've built in some extra bye weeks just in case something happens.
Mm-hmm.
So try to get all these games in. At the end of the day, who the hell knows what's going to happen? But they're trying something, man, and that's all I can ask college football right now. The NFL can go to hell. Who gives a shit about the NFL right now? They've got issues even bigger than COVID right now. So yeah, we'll see. But college football, come on, guys, we can do it. And baseball, God, the Red Sox won tonight, by the way.
Yay!
It's almost like we should have a party every time we win because we're not going to have that many parties. And not only that, shut out the Rays.
Yeah, I was actually kind of shocked.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit.
I didn't think the Red Sox would shut out anyone this year.
We might not shut anybody else out. Who knows? But tonight was the night. Tonight.
Tonight.
And I will tell you, man, I've enjoyed baseball being back, even with everything going on. It's nice to see baseball. Baseball just kind of normalizes things for me. I was looking for some baseball on TV tonight, but couldn't find any on tonight. So. Brian Goodwin's been ripping this year, by the way. Go, Brian, go.
Go, Brian, with that beautiful beard.
Oh, what a beard. Anyway, so there's my update for the week. Go Sports.
Excellent. Go Sports. Go America. So thank you for joining us here on episode 326 of the Foreign Affair podcast. We'll be back next week. You'll be back next week, right?
Yeah, I'm back next week, so that actually works well.
Cool. All right. Awesome. So we will catch you guys next week for another rip-roaring edition of the Foreign Affair podcast from McCall and Crime West Bradshaw. I am Edward Green. Thanks so much for joining us here this week. And until next time, stay safe, wash your damn hands, and enjoy the football.
I guess we don't have an outro song.
No. Yeah, we get fucking TOS'd for that shit.
I just made that up. So no one, if anyone's getting paid, it's going to be.
That's true.
Certainly not on this podcast.
All right, Craigie, it's time for you to head on. Mosey on along, Craig.
You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on NGSCsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis for all things sport. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, head to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.